It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belgast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again, time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 299. Tonight I'm joined by Emo.
Hello.
Ashgar.
Hi.
Grace.
Hello.
Kodra.
Hi.
Tamriello.
Hello.
And Thalen.
Hey.
So, it's week something of something, and yeah, I think I'm officially I've lost count territory now. Like legitimately lost count.
It is a day of a week in a month. I'm pretty sure it's still the year 2020, but I could be wrong.
So this is the week that we got the official plans of people starting to report back. And it is supposedly going to start happening June 1st. And as a response, my entire team of workers have put in the paperwork to go 100% work from home.
Good plan.
Yep.
I was going to say, is this optional?
No, not unless we get approved for work from home. But, I have a feeling they're going to be deluged with paperwork and they may just start rubber stamping, and that's kind of my hope. But yeah, pretty much my entire team applied because I've been funneling all the paperwork to the correct place. So here's hoping that goes through, so that, I don't have to go into work because, we've had a spike this week, which has not been fun.
Yikes.
So I live in a land where people more or less think this isn't a real thing. So that has been a challenge.
Yeah.
I have a feeling Thalen lives in that same land.
It's challenging here. There are counties that are absolutely at epidemic levels, and then there are counties like mine that have, a couple of handfuls of cases, and that's it. And it feels very strange. But boy, I'm not going back to work until there is a vaccine.
Yeah.
And several of my coworkers, a lot of the contractors at my job are pretty much in the same boat. Nobody wants to go back until there's a vaccine.
Yeah, my thing has been that our team has been fully functional remote for I think 10 weeks now, maybe something like that. So I don't see a point of putting anyone in any possible risk of harm when there isn't much benefit to actually be in the office. But
yeah,
so I was hoping
mine. We're not going to go back any earlier than June, and they've got some other requirements, beyond that. So I suspect it won't be until it'll be a while yet. But even when we do go back, there won't be any break areas, cafeteria will be shut down, vending machines will be empty, no using meeting rooms, meetings have to be done over, remote, stuff.
Then what?
At which point I'm what's the benefit of being in the office?
Right, and that's kind of where we're at too. Is they released all these directions, and so we would have to go back and wear masks all the time, and all of the public areas would be closed. So what's the point of sitting at a cubicle and doing the same thing I can do while sitting at home?
Yeah,
and being safe.
Yeah, my entire team is perfectly functional, working from home. We're developers. We can develop. It's amazing how, you can write code from the comfort of your own home, and it works just as well.
In fact, I have a way nicer setup at home than I have at work.
I had to navigate the weirdness of Amazon's, determinations of what was considered vital for shipping times to get a good setup at home, but I did get there. But it was really confusing how this mouse will get to you in about 3 weeks because it's not going to go through the normal fast channels. But this mouse, this one will get you like 2 days.
Because it was
Why?
like
I
a
don't know.
gaming mouse?
No, I mean they were both like I wasn't going to buy an expensive mouse for this, for a extra docking station for my work laptop. Like it was just like a Logitech mouse versus a Microsoft mouse. I don't know.
It's been so random, the shipping times for things.
It's very weird.
Yeah, it's been very, very strange. It seems like it's slowly improving, but it does, so variable that it's hard to tell sometimes.
I did, in fact, order a new gaming mouse the other day because the right click on mine is like in really bad shape, and it's going to be here Monday. So,
yeah, I got a 2-day delivery of a new G600 because my left click has gone out to where it is always double click. And I just got that, I guess, yesterday. So it's weird because like then other things will take 3 weeks. So yeah, it's weird times. It's real weird times, and I'm really hoping that because like I guess Monday is when folks can quote unquote voluntarily go back, of which nobody volunteered.
There are absolutely some people at my work that would volunteer to go back.
Oh, we did have some people from other groups that volunteered, but yeah, like nobody in my section volunteered. And then the first would be the first mandatory day, and I don't know. Like, I think this is a horrible idea.
Yeah,
and I'm hoping there's pushback and it changes. But in the meantime, we all put in our paperwork, and hopefully they process that in the next 2 weeks.
Yep.
So this first topic, not that our perennial recounting of weird things going on in the world isn't a topic, but this first topic, I am not sure how to even set it up. Tam, I think this is your topic, Cloudpunk?
Yeah. Cloudpunk is Steam's recommendation engine actually working for once.
Hooray.
I periodically like click through 3 or 4 of the Steam, I don't even remember what they call them, but like, hey, we think you
the discovery queue.
Yeah, the discovery queue. And at first I thought it was that game that showed up at E3 a couple of years ago that was like pretty cool looking cyberpunk pixel art kind of deal. And then it turned out the developer sucked, and also their publisher pulled their funding. And I was like, I was prepared to make a joke about it, but it's not the same game. It's a totally different thing. But that's what got my attention. But the premise of Cloudpunk, it's a voxel 3D cyberpunk game where you play as a delivery driver in your flying car.
Yeah, this is not at all the game I was thinking of.
No. And I was like,
this is not at all related to the last night, and nothing about it other than the way it kind of looks.
Yeah, it's totally different, and totally, yeah, I was like, oh, this is a completely different thing. Cool, let me check it out, because I was prepared to get all uppity about it. But no, it's super charming. You play as this musician, and she's going to the like megatropolis to be a delivery driver because she needs money. And it's really interesting to play a cyberpunk game where you're like just a regular person. Because you're flying around this crazy like this massively vertical city in your like Blade Runner style car, but like, you know, the onboard AI of your cab has like, of your like delivery car has just totally garbage features unless you shell out for the premium version, which of course you don't have. And like, there's a bunch of, it does a really good job of setting up this world that you're just making deliveries in. You know, people pay you to make deliveries. You make deliveries. There's a bunch of like interesting stories around it. It's like you get this interesting cross section of everything that's going on in this world by kind of skipping along it the way you might skip a rock, because you see, like, you don't spend a bunch of time in any of these places, but you get to see all of these things that are unfolding. It's really charming. The writing and voice acting is a little hit or miss. Like, when it's good, it's actually quite good. When it's bad, it's like jarringly, shockingly bad. But it's definitely charming. It's definitely growing on me. They have some great characters. One of my favorites is there's a cyborg guy who is like an activist, but the CorpSec, the like mega corporation that runs everything, didn't like his activism, and so, but couldn't legally do anything to him. So they just hacked his like mental cybernetic processes so that he can only like rap at people. And he's not good at it. So he has to like, he talks in rhymes with kind of a not great beat. He's not good at it. And it like has totally effectively killed his ability to be an activist because nobody wants to listen to him. And it's like, oh, huh. Because at first I was like, okay, this is a stupid gimmick character. And then you figure out what's going on. It's like, oh wow, that's super messed up.
I remember you asking me about why that character spoke in rhyme before the game explained it.
Yeah. There's a android detective who speaks like he's narrating a noir film, but like due to a software glitch, but he doesn't want to get rid of the software glitch because it makes him an incredible detective. There's more normal people as well, but those two really stood out as like, okay, you took a silly gimmick, but like there's a decent reason for it, at least consistent with the setting, and like, okay. And the main character is like, do you really like this character? This guy's really annoying. I'm gonna go somewhere else. But it's a pretty soothing game. It's not like crazy demanding. It's got some surprisingly, like, it's all voxels, but it's got some surprisingly good lighting and just like set setup, so you can see this like really cool neon signage and billboards and stuff.
That was the thing that I really liked about that tourist game, because it was voxel as well, but like it had an amazing lighting engine.
Yeah, well, it's what made me think about mentioning it, because it reminded me of like, what if Tourist were Cyberpunk and doing a different thing? And I haven't beaten it yet, but there's a kind of interesting meta story that's unfolding in addition to all of the like little stories that you can find.
The name is weird because like when you threw this on here, I thought you were going to talk about like airships and sky pirates, which I have also heard referred to as Cloudpunk.
No, this is Mirror's Edge, except you're a delivery driver.
Does it have like a more coherent, consistent through line? Like you mentioned, the meta plot is happening to you.
Yes, there is a more consistent. There is a through line. There is an overall story that's unfolding, but I haven't figured out where it's going yet, because it's actually like a really nice slow burn, because it reveals in little details as you're going through. The other, like, each delivery is its own mini story.
Mm-hmm.
And like sometimes you deliver for decent people, and sometimes the people that you're delivering for suck. Sometimes they ask you to do things that aren't in your charter, and you have to decide if you're going to or not, because it's like, oh, I'm a delivery person, not a cab service. Well,
there's a thin line there.
Yeah. It turns out that you had to sell, like, your character had to sell your dog's body to pay for bills, and so you've got your dog as an uploaded chip, and you plug your dog into your car, so now your car is the dog. I don't know, that part's weird. You've got a talking dog, or had a talking dog, and now you just have your talking dog's like computer chip brain, which you can upload into your car, so now your car talks to you as your dog. That
sounds like weirdly bleak.
It is.
I mean,
yeah.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah. It hits cyberpunk notes really well without like beating you over the head with them, which I think is interesting.
It's got like weird Eclipse phase notes to it.
Yeah. And like you have some interesting like at one point my car got stolen, but it had my dog in it, and it was like, the car or whatever, that sucks. It's a company car, like not something I care about, but like getting the dog back is important. I did not like the dog character at first, but it's growing on me.
Did you not back up your dog?
Apparently not, but that's expensive. But it's soothing to just drive around because it's really cool to drive around because you've got like there's other cars driving around. You've got there's a lot of sights to see. You can buy stuff to manipulate how your car performs, so you can move around faster and with more agility and so on.
The game looks really cool.
Yeah, I like it. It reminds me of the like driving around parts of FF15, or like, I don't know, there's like a bunch of, or like The Tourist is another good example of a game that it reminds me of. Like you kind of wander around, you kind of do stuff. A Short Hike is another similar kind of thing where you wander around doing stuff. Although this has a bit more of a story than A Short Hike did.
I need to play that. I think it was like one of the Amazon monthly games, or Twitch monthly games, technically. But I still haven't played that since you first talked about it.
I think Epic gave it away too.
Maybe it was Epic. I don't know. Like all of these places that give me games each month kind of blend together. And like I claim them thinking at some point I'll want to play them, but that doesn't always happen. And the only real way of gluing them all together is with the GOG Galaxy client, because it gives me like a window into all of the games I have on all these things, which is really the best killer feature of that thing, is keeping track of, okay, so I've got these through Twitch, and I've got these through, Humble Bundle, and I've got these through, the Epic Game Store. I want to play this game. Where do I own it? I know I have it somewhere.
Yeah. Just know I've got enough of a backlog. And these things, like,
I
giving
can't
me even
not
more games.
Claim it, though.
I might want that game at some point.
Yeah, like, I mean, someday I'm gonna be like really looking for that, and I'm a digital hoarder.
So my discovery is that if it's being given away and it's an indie game, probably at some point in the not too distant future, it's either going to be given away again or really cheap.
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about getting it every time.
I know. It's the principle, man. It's the principle.
I don't need to acquire games I'm not going to play.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I've just sort of stopped doing it. Am I going to play it? Basically, am I going to play it in the next week? Or is it a game I am buying specifically to support the developer, regardless of whether I'm going to play it myself? If not, then I can wait.
The funny thing is, though, like, this is the exact opposite of me as a normal human being, because, like, you could be giving me free money and I have to go through the process of getting it, but for a free game, I'll log into your website and click claim button. Yeah, like, so there was a game that when this thing was called Cloudpunk, and I had it stuck in my head that, oh yeah, so like airship combat and stuff. I do not remember the name of the game, but there was a game that I saw last year at E3 that was like I think it was like a voxel roguelike type game where you go around from cloud to cloud exploring. And like, for whatever reason, I was expecting it to be that game.
There's a tiny build game that I don't remember the name of that is that.
Yeah.
Because it was at E3 last year and also at PAX South this year.
Yeah, that's probably the one I'm thinking of. So this has been a topic that's been on the list for a few times, and I threw it on there. It's kind of a vague topic, but it feels to me that consoles are just becoming PCs. And this is the thought process that went into my head because recently Microsoft announced that their games are going to be, like, their first party games are all going to be cross-generational and cross-platform going forward. And so if you've got games that now run on the Xbox One generation, including the original and the SAD and the S and the X, as well as whatever this new generation is, it is starting to feel a lot like a PC. Whereas, like, and this largely went down a thought process in my head. Like, back in the day, you used to buy copies of a game for a specific system. So, like, this is the Apple II version. You know, this is the Atari ST version. And then post MS-DOS, they all kind of coalesced into, you just buy PC games for IBM compatibles.
Yeah. Most of one of those Mac weirdos.
And then the same thing was true during the early 3D games, because, like, I had a lot of games that only worked on a 3DFX card because I had a Voodoo. Actually, I had a Voodoo too. And then that changed to where everything was either DirectX or OpenGL. And it makes me wonder, are we moving with consoles to where consoles are going to be a lot more like PCs, to where you keep your library of games, you just upgrade your hardware? And that absolutely seems like that's kind of the road that Microsoft's trying to go down, with, like, backwards compatible support, you know, all the way back to the original Xbox. And then I guess going forward, a lot of the games will be cross-generational.
I think that is a reaction to more games come out in a given console generation than anybody can realistically play. And so the idea of, like, well, do I want another box when I'm not finished with my current one? And so the backwards compatibility thing ends up being a sort of de facto requirement at this point, because nobody really wants to give up the console for the games they haven't yet finished.
Well, and I think part of it, too, is from the 360 PS3 era onwards, all of those games are still perfectly playable. Like, there's not quite the generational issue that you've run into prior to that, to where it is such a leap forward that it becomes unplayable.
Oh, yeah.
Like the 360 era is fine.
Have you tried to play an early PS3 game recently?
I mean, I have. Yeah. I mean, not long ago. It's fine. It's not amazing, but it's fine.
It's not like trying to play, you know, N64 era
FF7,
Bubsy or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a better experience than when we were going back to play Tron 2.0.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because, like, from that generation forward, a lot of the standardization in how these games work was in place. So, like, they functionally feel good. I mean, they feel fine. I play PS3 games with a Hori FPS Plus controller that, you know, is the same one that I use for PS4 games. I just flip a switch that is for PS3 compatibility. I do not like the DualShock 3 or whatever that one was called, the 6-axis.
Yeah.
It was not a good controller. It was not a good controller. It does not feel good anymore. However, if you play it with the PS4 controller, the PS3 games mostly feel fine. But, like, that's the thing. Like, so they did a pretty good job of upscaling, like, the Xbox titles, because I've played Crimson Skies several times through backwards compatibility on my Xbox One, and other than the buttons being in slightly different locations and having remaps and stuff, it feels pretty good. Like, it's still a really good game. I mean, that and the fact that I think it's a 4:3 aspect ratio, so that's weird, but
I did mention that one of the things that I'm looking forward to on the SAD box is access to Blue Dragon, which was an early 360 game that I never actually got a chance to play and wasn't available digitally until, like, 2 years ago.
But, like, since the consoles are focusing on backwards compatibility, Microsoft a little bit more than Sony, but
a lot more.
Are these just PCs at this point? Because really, that's the other side of this, is the hardware that is.
So here's what you don't have to do.
What?
You don't have to do any configuration.
Yes.
Right.
That's where, I'm 100% with Ash on that one. Because my very first thought when I saw the topic was, if I don't have a console, but I own a TV, I can be playing a console game. If I can decide at noon that I want to be playing a console game, and I can be playing a console game before dinner.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is, like, Microsoft is also putting in keyboard and mouse support for various games. So like, at that point, it's even more of it's just an intro PC. Like, it's a cheap PC that performs really well.
But again, the no configuration part is really important.
Yes.
I can plug it into my PC, and this box works. That was supposedly the promise of the Steam Link, but it wasn't there.
Yeah, the power of I can just plug this in and start using it, and I don't have to configure it is huge. Like it's why like diehard. It's the thing that diehard PC gamers who are like, oh, everybody will see the light eventually because PC is just better.
No,
like they won't. No, because it's not. Like, you can eke out better performance, but you have to put a lot more work into it, and a lot more money, and a lot more time investment to play the same game.
I mean, even the idea of, like, eventually we're going to be seeing upgrades to consoles, those upgrades need to be, like, trivially easy to install.
Yeah, like I think that we saw, as far as console hardware upgrades, like the N64 tried to have a console hardware upgrade, and it wasn't a success.
Well, and I think that's the interesting thing about this generation is both of the consoles are going to have flash storage, but they're basically giant memory cards, and the difficulty of swapping them out is just plugging in a memory card. And to some extent, like, you had that kind of plug and play capability with the 360 with their hard drives, but like, that was mostly just an excuse to sell you an overpriced hard drive.
For PS3?
No, for the Xbox 360.
Oh, yes.
It's true, but what you're paying for is the convenience.
Yeah, and that was actually perfectly fine, because if you knew what you were doing, you can swap out the hard drive in that.
We're going to call that wildly unsupported, though, for the 360.
It was wildly unsupported for the 360, but it absolutely worked.
Whereas the PlayStation models since the PS3 have had user replaceable hard drives, but you need to at least know what a tiny hard drive looks like.
Yes.
Even though you don't need really any tools to install it.
Well, and honestly, like, I've swapped hard drives in both my PS3 and my PS4, and it is a easy process, but it is not a process that probably most people would be willing to do. Because, like, on the PS4...
More so for the PS4.
Right. I had to load the operating system again from a thumb drive.
That sounds terrible.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, because I mean, basically, like, you're reinstalling the operating system, so you got to go to the Sony website and download the operating system and boot it off of a USB drive. And, like, all this is easier than doing it on a PC, but I still had to do that and then re-download everything, and it was not a plug-and-play experience. PS3 was pretty much plug-and-play, because, like, I think it was basically, like, its operating system was on internal storage, maybe?
I don't know, but I remember it being way easier.
Yeah, like, I just swapped hard drives, and yeah, I had to download everything, but that was it.
I know lately I've been gravitating towards console games just because I can sit on the couch and play them, and I'm not in the same chair all the time forever.
Yeah, and that's just never been a thing for me. It may be more of a thing because, okay, so, like, I don't ever want to dominate the downstairs television. However, we've been in the process of setting the loft up again, and there's a TV out there, and there's Android TV hooked up to it, and so shockingly, it works really well to play Steam Link over Android TV. So I've done a little bit of that. But I could see maybe hooking up some consoles out there because it's just around the corner from my office.
Yeah. Yeah, in my case, it's just like I'm already spending the entire workday sitting in front of my computer, which I've repurposed into a, flip a switch, and it's my work PC versus my home PC.
Yeah.
But, like, the idea of sitting in front of the same computer in the same chair for 16 hours a day is not appealing.
Well,
Well,
this is the reason why I don't have a lot to talk about when we come up with topics for the show, because I choose to do other things with my time because I'm sitting in front of this computer for 8 hours a day.
Yeah, and that's also why I'm not on voice or around in the evenings much, because like I've got the same thing going on with my office where like this is now work, and I go downstairs and play on my laptop, which means I'm remoting into my upstairs machine, which like it's technically the same machine, but just the fact that I'm messing with it in a different location makes a mental difference to me.
Oh yeah.
Like I am downstairs and like I am off work now. And yeah, I'm using Parsec to play games off of the upstairs machine, but I'm downstairs now. I'm not at work. I mean, that has probably been the hardest thing for me to get used to on remote work is like setting up some boundaries between work and the rest of my house. And that has definitely been a thing for actually sitting upstairs in the evenings and trying to game.
Yeah, I've set up a commute for myself, as it were, where I have to stand up and unplug and replug my monitors, basically, and that works really well for.
It's flipping a switch in your brain.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Like going back to the consoles thing, like I don't know, maybe the membrane between console and PC has been pretty blurry for me for a long time, just because dev kits, but like. But boy, is that convenience factor a thing. So I was trying to figure out, like, what would be a good way for somebody who has absolutely no way to play a video game? What would I get them to start? Like, where do you start for somebody?
Console.
Well, it was
A phone?
I was down even into like which console or like or a phone. Like maybe a phone works.
Yeah, either a mobile device or a Switch.
Yeah,
is the absolute least necessary setup.
Yeah,
the funny thing
Switch
is, like,
Mini was what I
to
went
me,
for.
the Switch exists in a different realm than any of the things that I'm talking about so far this evening. Like it's another thing that you also need in addition to having some kind of a console or PC. Because like to me, in my brain, the Switch lives in its own land. Mostly because I still think of it as a handheld device.
That's true. Or at least true for me.
Yeah, same.
I mean, I play it docked a lot, but I still think of it as a handheld device. But yeah, I guess that's true. Like, I mean, entry level, I would probably suggest a Switch of anything else. But, so the funny thing is like, if consoles got to the point where I could play games in the manner that I prefer to play games, aka mouse and keyboard, I don't know if I would continue as a PC gamer. I don't know. Like, does that make it no longer worth the effort? Because consoles are still going to be cheaper. I mean, buying a console is significantly cheaper than buying an equivalent PC.
I when you mentioned that there was going to be a mouse and keyboard, I scoffed, and that's because I imagine most people who are getting consoles do not want, like, because you want to be sitting on your couch in front of your nice TV playing a game.
That's not entirely true. Like, I will tell you, like, there is a product offering that sells extremely well, and that is mouse and keyboard emulators for consoles, so that people can play shooters with mouse and keyboard. Like, that is a whole group of products with, different manufacturers making them.
I want you to ballpark me what percentage of the player base is using that.
A high enough percentage that they had to figure out who was doing it in certain online games.
Okay.
I think Call of Duty, one of them had tried to figure this one out.
Right. And a lot of games are building in kind of the ability to switch back and forth, so that if you're on a controller, you get aim assist, but if you're on mouse and keyboard, you don't get aim assist anymore, to try and balance it out.
There's some really clever stuff that people are figuring out, because that's been like the barrier to true crossplay, and like I suspect we're going to hit a point where people just don't care anymore. It's a big reason. Like if you look at Overwatch and Fortnite and so on, like they don't care that much about precision. Their weapons just aren't that precise.
But I think like the difference between the two is it is a narrow gap now. I mean, because like, for example, I know people who play Destiny with a controller and do perfectly fine against PC players with mouse and keyboard.
I mean, I played entirely with the controller, even when I was playing on PC, because that's what I'd gotten used to.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Worked fine.
I don't see much of a difference. Like, even in Crucible, I don't see much of a difference. I just prefer mouse and keyboard. And they've also added a whole bunch of interesting product offerings that are like wireless mouse keyboard setups that are tailored towards playing on your lap on like a couch. So like that's a whole industry that's kind of evolved over the last few years for people who do want to play on the couch but play with mouse and keyboard. Like Corsair has a really nice setup. I think MSI may have one too. But like back to what Tam said, like I think the line is really blurry and it has been for a while. But I do know going into this next generation, it will be whatever the price point ends up being. And the speculation is 500 or 600 for these next consoles. Whatever that price point is, it's way the hell cheaper than you can get an equivalent PC. And again, there's always going to be the plug and play aspect of it. So another random topic. This week, I got something that I have been wishing for, or at least I got an announcement of something that I have been wishing for. I loved the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games.
Mm-hmm.
I played the first one on PlayStation. I played the second one mostly on Dreamcast, and then the third one on PS2. And I really didn't play much after that, so like I didn't go into the whole Underground games, which were kind of Tony Hawk plus Grand Theft Auto-ish, I think.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 was the first one to cut time limits and give you sort of an open area to wander around in. So the next few games were based on that.
Well, like, all the old games had free skate mode, which is where I spent most of my time just fiddling around.
Right, but 4 had, hey, go to this place, pick up this mission, do this thing in this larger, more open zone.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I did not play past 3, but I really liked the first couple of games. And some years back, they released an HD version of the game, and it was not great, but I still played it. It was kind of a weird remix of the first two games. And then Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 was not good at all, and involved, I don't know, some microtransactions, always on play, some issues. But
why did they call it 5 when there was like 3 games between 4 and 5?
I don't know.
This is some Resident Evil tier numbering here.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts.
But apparently this September, we are getting a remaster of the first two games. And one of the things that I loved about the Dreamcast game that I do not think was available on the PlayStation game was, so you remember Dreamcast was a deeply connected console. Like it shipped with a modem and you could swap it out for a network card. And if you played Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 on the Dreamcast, you could swap skate park designs with other players. And that's apparently going to be in this game as well. So like you'll be able to download crazy skate parks that people have made. And I am super looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to like create your skater mode because like I enjoyed that. Tam pointed out today that apparently there are aged versions of the skaters, which is kind of cool.
Is that I thought I saw that somewhere.
Yeah, like
is that a thing? Because I badly
read
want
that
it.
somewhere.
Toadchild mentioned it today.
Do we get to play with old Tony Hawk then?
I think you do.
If I can, this game is an auto buy for me.
Like I would love to play with like old Steve Caballero because like of the characters that are going to be in here, like Cab is the one that like I'm the most into.
Apparently, it's been confirmed that all the returning skaters will be coming back with older models.
Sweet. Oh shit! Does that mean we're going to get to ride around as Jason Lee?
I assume so.
That will be amazing. Yes, Jason Lee, the actor. I originally knew as a skater.
I don't know who Jason Lee is, the actor or the skater, so...
Brody from Mallrats.
Yeah.
My name is Earl. Trying to think of other things that he's been in.
So, how much of the music is coming back?
They said they were able to get
except
most
5
of it.
songs.
Yeah. They basically couldn't get licensing for those 5.
They still got Superman.
They still got Superman, okay. Because 90% of my 90s Tony Hawk Pro Skater experience was... I have this like vivid, seared into my brain memory of some sort of a warehouse.
Yep, the warehouse level.
And I would just, it did not matter what track they wanted to play, I would go in and switch it to Superman. And like, we talked last week about grinding games. Tony Hawk Pro Skater was one of the first games I really put in a grind for.
I could sit there on the warehouse level for 2-3 hours and just on free skate, just running around trying different tricks, learning different approaches. And
for me, it wasn't free skate. I was always just trying to get the highest score possible.
Yeah, I did not care about the high score at all. I mostly ran around in free skate.
I loved this game because how do you get a high score? You do awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Like, go and try and pull as many tricks in like a consecutive order, and if you are scoring high, you're also looking awesome doing it.
Yeah, like the thing is I remember spending a lot of time in free skate, and then I would basically use it to figure out what line I wanted to take when I finally did go after completing the level. And like getting all the letters to spell skate and doing all that stuff, getting all the videotapes, trying to find all the weird places that you could grind or do this or do that to get like some named achievement.
How long of a grind can you pull off?
I didn't realize they announced this game on Tony Hawk's actual birthday.
Yeah, no, Tony Hawk is the one who announced it too on his Twitter.
It's so delightful.
Okay, Jason Lee wasn't in either of those, so no, Jason Lee's not in there.
I didn't remember if he was or not. Like, I don't think many of the blind skaters were. Blind being a skateboard company.
But yeah, there is absolutely older cab. There's video showing like the older versions of all of the skaters. And,
I love it.
I want the cutscenes of Tony Hawk being approached by fans asking why he is Tony Hawk.
Like, you remind me of someone.
Yeah, campaign mode like where you've got to go through airports.
Are you Tony Hawk? Yeah? Why?
I wonder what the Tony Hawk guy is doing right now. It is going to extend Tony Hawk's existential crisis forever, though.
I mean, if the him in the game looks like the him now, then maybe not so much.
Or maybe not.
I mean, it's definitely him now on the cover of the thing.
But yeah, it's a day one purchase for me. It seems like it's going to be an Epic Game Store exclusive, which is fine. I'd rather have it on Steam, but meh. My only problems with the Epic Game Store is the general stability of the client. It crashes a lot for me for whatever reason.
Well, and it sure got overloaded when they started giving GTA 5 away.
Yeah, that's a thing.
To the point that it would like crash out and then come back speaking a different language.
So okay. GTA 5 still like the best-selling game on a week-to-week basis for the most part.
Yeah.
I really like to try this game.
Lots of people enjoy the online version.
Right, but are people interested in this game that don't own it? Do they still exist?
I mean, that's true. Yeah.
Like, technically, I'm somewhat interested in this game and don't own it.
So I think
do exist.
part of it.
I mean, you can get it for free now.
Okay, so here's part of it too. Rockstar regularly bans people in the online, and it kills their account.
That's true.
So I'm wondering if all these purchases that keep it up there are people rebuying accounts.
Maybe, I don't know.
But yeah, if you are one of those people that don't own GTA 5 and you have any interest whatsoever, I mean, it's free now.
Where is it free?
Epic Game Store.
Neat.
I mean, it is. It probably is the best Grand Theft Auto game. Like they they did a good job with it. It's got some really uncomfortable stuff in it, but that's nothing to do for GTA.
That's a GTA game.
So Deep Dark Secret, I've not played a GTA game since San Andreas.
That's probably
That's
okay.
the last one I played.
Yeah.
Was I with you, Chris or Tam, when we were playing like the opening of GTA 4? Because
I remember you talking about GTA 5.
no, I never played GTA 5. Yeah,
The game came out 7 years ago.
that game, I don't know, like the game of GTA never really clicked for me.
Which was the one with Nico?
That was 4.
That was
That was 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I know nothing about the game other than the song.
Like the GTA was a game where I feel like there's not enough fidelity to any of the things I was ever doing.
I feel like so there are GTA style games that I've always liked more. One of my favorites is Mafia, and I thought that game was fantastic.
I thought
I've
you were
heard
some Sleeping Dogs or Saints Row.
Yeah,
Dude,
see
I
also
love
Sleeping
Saints
Dogs.
Row.
See also Saints Row 2 and 3.
See, I love the Saints Row games just because they're nonsense. Like, okay, so I can take this world if it's really cartoony. But also, like, crime fantasy has never been my thing.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, my favorite GTA is probably still Vice City because it's the 80s and, like, just go completely over the top.
Yeah, GTA. I did not like GTA Vice City when I first played it because I was like, I don't really care about the 80s. This game is too wacky and ridiculous for me. I'm a serious teenager playing serious games.
But Ballad of Gay Tony was an amazing expansion.
And then and looking back, I should go back and try Vice City and be like, oh no, this game is fantastic. It's silly and great. And also balances being serious and silly.
Yeah.
So around
It
the
also has a
time,
great soundtrack.
around the
The
time
age of
San
that game
Andreas
makes it a little hard
came
to go
out,
back to. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, around the time San Andreas came out, someone released a multiplayer mod for Vice City. And I can remember, like, I was working at the same place as Vernie, and after hours, we would play Vice City with the mod multiplayer. And you had to run a server, and then everybody connected into the server, and then you could just run around in Vice City multiplayer, and it was fun. But I think what you were going for was, I don't know if Vice City is still playable. I don't know if the PS2 era of GTA games really is going to be playable.
It's been a while since I played it last. I did boot it back up a couple of years ago, and I found it still playable, but, you know, your mileage may vary.
It might be part of its charm, though, the age a little bit.
Isn't, like, San Andreas available on mobile devices?
I
Like,
think
thought there was
so.
a phone release of it.
Yes, Android.
Also iOS and Fire OS and Windows Phone.
Well,
It's just on everything. I mean, it was a big deal when it was.
I think that's more platforms than
current one.
Skyrim.
Probably not. It's up to 10. What's Skyrim up to? Of course, it also counts PC and Mac
Alexa.
separately.
Skyrim's only on 6. I mean, as long as you're not doing things like counting PC and PC VR and...
I mean, I would count the VR port as different because, like, you don't automatically get Skyrim VR, right? You have to purchase it separately.
I have no idea.
I mean, I don't know. The San Andreas one is counting things like Fire OS and Android as different platforms.
That's fair. I mean, this is counting PS3 and PS4 as different platforms, which I think is reasonable.
Well, it was also on 360 and Xbox One.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Plays real interesting on Switch. I may or may not have bought it just out of curiosity, and yeah, it's fine.
It's kind of how I felt about the PSVR version. It was like, okay, this is neat. I'm not sure I want to play this entire game this way. And aiming the bow sucked. But like, maybe that's a good thing. Like, maybe I should branch out and not play the same game every time I load it up.
The first time I played it, I didn't know about the stealth archer thing. The second time I played it, I did. And the third time I played it, I made it a point to not use it.
Stealth Archer's real broken.
It's way too good.
I've actually never played Stealth Archer.
Stealth Archer is...
It is without question the strongest thing you can be doing in that game.
Yeah.
So, I hear you. But, counterpoint, the destruction feat that lets you double hand destruction spells that stun locks enemies, and you can do that with the cheapest level of spell.
It's still not as
Yes,
good.
but it takes more than one spell to kill people.
I guess
It
that's
doesn't
fair.
take more than one arrow to kill people.
And
Right.
and if there's
You can
more than one
basically-
person, the other ones see you, as opposed to arrows.
Yeah, you can basically just sit in the back and, pick off everyone in a camp with impunity and never get noticed.
Yeah, because arrows just magically sprout out of people sometimes. Like, it's just a thing that happens. It's not suspicious at all.
Counterpoint, enchanted bow. Or enchanted arrows. I don't remember what you enchant, but either way.
You enchant the bow.
The bow. But yeah.
No, you can get up to one shots on most of the enemies in that game. I think including the last boss of the expansion.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is like, it happens really quick, too. It's not like, oh, I need to play this late game. No, you can pretty much be a stealth bow badass immediately.
Oh yeah, you can be one-shotting,
Spiders and
bandits
shit.
and spiders and bears pretty much immediately. It does not take a lot of investment.
I mean, my feelings about stealth, and stealth bow is just super overpowered, like nonsensically overpowered.
I've never played this. Clearly, I should.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
Or
you may
maybe
not like
not.
it. You may not like it. You don't like playing things on easy mode.
There's very little challenge.
Yes.
Like you are standing so far away you can barely see the things you're killing them, and just picking them off one by one, and none of them react.
Well,
Because it's not at all suspicious that the dude next to me just fell over with an arrow in his skull.
Well, and aggro is
This just
based on
happens.
where you're sitting, not where your action is.
Uh-huh.
No, after discovering this, I made it a point to play a game without using it, and went through a game as an illusion caster at one point, being very careful not to ever trigger dragons, because that would have ruined that entire playthrough. But yeah, you can just illusion enemies into killing each other, and then use a calm spell when there's only one left, and, just shank them.
Well,
seems fine.
Seems fine.
Working as intended.
It's actually a really fun way to play through the game. And the only time I've ever come even remotely close to touching the Civil War quest line.
Yeah, I get the feeling that, granted, I did feel like there was some challenge to Morrowind, but eventually that also went away. Like, those games are not what I would consider, games that you're meant to play to, get a really big challenge to sink your teeth into.
No, they are easily breakable. They always have been.
that's not really what they're for. They're like interesting stories and big worlds with lots of moving parts that you can play around in.
And a main quest that you can and should ignore.
It's true.
I don't know if I've said this, but when I first played Skyrim, I didn't even know the 3 statues that allowed you to choose warrior, thief, or mage existed. Because I went the opposite direction, immediately.
I'm out of the railroaded part. Bye. Don't want to talk to you again.
Yeah, exactly.
It was the
I've
nearest
played
point
it.
of interest, so it's the first thing I checked out.
I've played an Elder Scrolls game before. I don't have to pay attention.
And that's the beauty of it. And if you do pay attention, it's still good.
Yeah, and I eventually backtracked and
I will
set
say-
my quote-unquote class.
I will say it is true for Skyrim. Skyrim it was true for. Because
We've talked about Oblivion before.
we've talked about Oblivion.
Morrowind was also fine. Morrowind handled it perfectly well.
Morrowind handled it perfectly well as well. If you follow the main story, they say stop following the main story and go faff about.
Morrowind did some stuff, though, because, I remember there were some really nasty things right in that first area that you shouldn't go explore yet. I remember going down into a dungeon that was just brutal. I'm like, this is in the starter area.
They want you to take the Strider, I believe.
Yeah, they do.
They really want you to take that Strider.
Yep, it's a hint.
But if you don't take the Strider, then you can find the Scroll of Icaran Flight. I actually didn't take the Strider my first playthrough because I didn't realize it was even there. I walked all the way to the second area.
Oh, yeah.
And that was pretty awesome.
Well, I was running away from the huge bug. I want to fight the huge bug.
Oh, yes. There was nothing. I had this exact same mindset because it looks like an enemy.
Yeah, it was a giant bug. It's not like nobody. They're like, oh, go to the Silt Strider. I'm like, okay, but it doesn't. It's not clear. Like if you're not in the mindset of, hey, guess what? You're not in traditional high fantasy anymore. Things are weird here. Then you're like, that's a huge bug. I want to go away from the huge bug. And like, no, that bug is a cab.
Yeah. Yes. I had that exact same reaction because I was like, I need to be away from the giant thing that's going to kill me. Let me go this way. And I was like, all right, let's pull up this map. All right, let's trek my way through here. It was a fun little adventure. I wonder how many people did that.
I did that too. I did not take the Silt Strider. I killed my way across the countryside until I got to where I was supposed to go. And I remember being frustrated in Oblivion because it felt like at least the intro part was way more hands-on.
Yeah, it's very scripted until you get out of the sewers.
Yeah.
At which point you can go places and you should immediately ignore the main quest.
Right. Yep. Oblivion was the first one that I learned the wonder of stealth bow.
Oblivion had broken spellcrafting, so that was a thing.
So, Kodra.
Yeah.
You have been doing a lot of Sodoku. Tell us about your adventures in Sodoku.
So, I found a YouTube channel that is called Cracking the Cryptic that has champion level Sudoku players doing a bunch of variant Sudokus. And I guess I had never seen some of the different options. One of the big ones is the concept of chess Sudoku, where you have your normal Sudoku rules apply, which means you have a 9x9 grid that is broken up into 9 boxes, and you have to place the numbers 1 through 9 in them so that there are no repeats in any rows, columns, or any of the boxes. So there's a bunch of tricks that you're going to pick up as you start to solve these puzzles. You're looking for various patterns so that you can eliminate numbers from certain boxes and try and pencil them in. It's generally pretty fun. I played these a while back with my family and then sort of got over them. But one of the things that I am now back to is adding additional constraints creates new logic patterns for you to follow. And there's some really high now there's a couple of they've released a client on Steam where you can play handcrafted. So one of the things with most Sudokus now is they're algorithmically generated, which means that they will probably solve, but there's not a intended path. There's no here is the breadcrumbs that you're supposed to follow to solve something. Which that's sort of the benefit of a handcrafted Sudoku is somebody is trying to guide you through a puzzle. And so I've been playing some of these Sudokus on Steam, chess Sudokus, which are Sudoku, except in Knight Sudoku, a number cannot be a knight's move away from itself. In King Sudoku, a number cannot be a king's move away from itself. Which, I don't know. I don't know if it's just because pandemic has set in and I'm desperate for anything different, but I've found them really fun.
I'll get on a kick where I'm doing puzzle games or whatever, or playing a whole lot of Go online.
I mean, I did pick Yakuza 0 back up in part to start working my way up the Mahjong rankings again. Because what else am I going to do with my time?
Yeah, I don't know. It's been really fun. It's what I've been playing.
Cool. So, has Nintendo just given up on normal releases?
What do you mean?
Because it seems like they have been like announcing just a single title at a time here lately. Because tail end of last week, they announced a new Paper Mario game, but like not along with anything else. I mean, it's been a while since we've had a traditional Nintendo Direct, is all I'm saying. But we do have news about a new Paper Mario game.
Okay, I'm excited. I've never actually played a Paper Mario game.
They come in a variety of styles.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
The first game was an RPG for the N64.
Yep.
The second game was a much more involved RPG for the GameCube. Most people really like that one and consider it the best in the series. So, of course, after that, they made a game that wasn't very much of an RPG at all. It was a platformer with RPG elements for the Wii.
And I think people mostly hated that one.
It's one of my favorites.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was fine. Paper Mario is weird to me because what I actually want is Mario RPG again.
I was going to say, I just want Legend of the Seven Stars back.
Yeah.
It was great.
And I know that Superstar Saga and similar exist, but they're just not the same. I like them. They're good, but they're not the same.
Yeah, I loved Mario RPG.
And I feel like as a result, the original Super Paper Mario was sold to me as the sequel or like the follow-up to Mario RPG, and it really wasn't that.
Yeah.
So, but
I feel like Thousand Year Door was kind of like that.
I mean, at the time, it seemed like Paper Mario was as close to Mario RPG as we were going to get from Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. But I also, at the time, I was young enough to be mad about it, or at least not accept that. I did have Thousand Year Door, and I played some of it, and I don't remember... Oh, no, World of Warcraft. Never mind. I was trying to remember why
that's about the right time.
I was trying to remember why I started playing it and then stopped it. It's because I got into WoW Beta.
I mean, I haven't seen enough of this game to be able to tell if it's more RPG-ish. It seems like maybe it is.
So after Super Paper Mario, they made two games that people didn't like very much. Sticker Star, which I can confirm is not very good, and Color Splash, which I didn't play. And they, I guess, set out to sort of make something that looked like an RPG but didn't play like an RPG. Again, I hear Color Splash is much better, but it was for the Wii U and I didn't play it. I wouldn't be terribly surprised if we see it again soonish. There is a rumor of a bunch of Mario stuff that's going to come out for the Switch this year.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of that, but I've also not heard real examples of what all is going to get released.
People seem to be willing to place bets on 3D Land, or 3D World rather, but other than that, I have no idea.
3D World, the platformer?
Yeah, the one that the Mario Maker 2 style is taken from.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, with Nintendo not making directs because they say they're having difficulty producing them at the current time, which, yeah, that's a thing.
That's reasonable.
So I guess they're just making single videos and going, yep, this game's going to be out in 2 months.
Yeah.
P.S. That seems about the right time frame for releases.
It would be really nice if we got notice of all games just 2 months before it comes out. Because there's enough time to get excited about it, but also not mull it over terribly long. There's a lot of talk about people seeming to think the Samus helmet in the trailer means something.
It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything.
They're reading a lot into that. Because there's this whole rumor mill of a re-release of Metroid Prime Trilogy ahead of the eventual release of Metroid Prime 4.
Uh-huh,
I mean, that would be really nice.
So that would be not exactly unexpected.
I would love to have that thing happen so that I could play them on a modern console.
Yep.
I mean,
that playing them on the Wii was not good enough. To be completely fair, there aren't a lot of games designed like Metroid Prime.
Yeah.
I mean...
So the fact that Nintendo hasn't made ones in the past, 8 years?
It plays perfectly cromulent with a mouse and keyboard.
13 years is, it's kind of a thing.
There's a fork of the Dolphin emulator designed expressly for the purpose of letting you play Metroid Prime with mouse and keyboard.
I could believe that. But yeah, the only other series that designs anything like Metroid is Zelda, and the last Zelda didn't have anything like Zelda in it. So I don't know.
I mean,
this has been missing from 3D games.
Is it just like one of the things is like it's being in 2 dimensions, it's easier to be constrained, and a lot of those games is being and then overcoming constraints.
Yeah, and the Metroid Prime games were good at that.
Yeah,
they were good at translating that exact design into 3D.
Yeah. I mean, also, I would say Ocarina of Time was incredibly good at that, as was Majora's Mask.
I'll give you Twilight Princess, not so much Majora's Mask.
That's fair, I guess.
I've never made it terribly far into Twilight Princess.
Oh, I love that one. It's really good.
I've bounced off every time I tried to start it.
I don't know.
Got a rough start.
It does have a rough start. I'm trying to decide if I think that Twilight Princess is my favorite of the 3D Zelda games. And I feel like I didn't give Skyward Sword enough of a chance because I bounced off of that one real hard.
Twilight Princess is really the one I didn't give a fair chance originally. It came out in the same year as Okami.
Oh, yeah, that would do it.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't play Okami until later because I couldn't.
Okami originally came out on, what, PS2?
Yep.
Okami would have probably been great for me getting over a dog phobia sooner than I did if I could have been convinced to play a game with a dog in it.
It's a game with a really good boy that's on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think at this point we have gone somewhere near time. Any final thoughts about anything we've talked about or anything that's a really short thing?
I'm going to be trying to stream again tomorrow or today if you're a podcaster listening, because I want to get better at Hollow Knight Randomizer.
Oh, sweet. Another random run.
Yep.
Did you ever finish the one that you were streaming the other day? Because I did not stay on probably that long.
Yeah, Thalen was there. I beat Radiance.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It was very impressive.
Someone asked me if I was going to go back to my stealth run of Dishonored, Death of the Outsider. And I think I might have to restart it because I don't remember it. But yeah, if anybody is interested in seeing that streamed, I guess I could set that up.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Do you want to watch me ponderously play through a stealth game on the hardest possible difficulty settings?
Yeah, I remember watching the first part of that. I'm like, this is not my style of play in the least, but I am amused by it. It feels like Death of the Outsider might be a harder game for a clean hands run.
Oh God, yeah. No, that
I mean, like I tried for low body count, and no, body count just kind of happens because that is that character.
Yeah, look, they message real quick and real upfront with who you're playing in that game that maybe you're
Billy
not
Lurk
a
is a specific kind of character. Billy Lurk is an awesome character, but Billy Lurk is a specific kind of character.
Yeah, Billy Lurk is awesome, and Billy Lurk is it's adorable that you think you're not going to murder people. How naive. That's literally her whole character is thinking that Corvo and, I can't remember her name. Emily are naive.
So I do have one last thing that I wanted to talk about, which is probably going to push us over. Did you see any of the footage of Ghosts of Tsushima?
I am so here for this game.
Because I feel like this is going to be a really interesting game because it lets Tam play like Tam and it lets me play like me. Because I'm going to be a samurai and just walk up and challenge people to duels. Tam can be a ghost and sneak around the camp and distract people. And I don't know if it supports a clean hands option, though.
Probably not.
But it was interesting to see the same mission from two vastly different points of view.
I'm mostly here for samurai cinema mode. One of my girlfriend's favorite movies is Seven Samurai, which
is a great movie.
I mean,
yeah. I was like, wow, really? Okay. But it's got black and white samurai cinema mode, and I'm trying to decide if I'm going to play the whole game in black and white samurai cinema mode because it sounds amazing and like a completely unique experience.
That's pretty cool.
I saw the GIF where you could pet the fox.
You can pet the fox. It looks really cool. Like I'm really impressed. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of the first two, what is it, Infamous games, but I like Second Son a lot. And I never played
First Light.
this First Light, but
I love
I've heard
First
good
Light.
things about it.
First Light was great, as was Second Son.
It was a PS Plus game, and you probably own it. You should go play it.
Oh, I'm sure I own it, yeah. I mean, Second Son was great. I think Second Son was the first game I had for my PlayStation 4.
It was the first game I had. After not being the biggest fan of the first two games,
Yeah, it wasn't either. Like, they were fine. I played them at a friend's house on the PS3, and I don't know, they weren't really for me.
I'm really interested. It's a game set in, historical Japan, and it's not set in the Sengoku or Edo periods.
I
I
haven't
didn't know that was allowed.
right? Is it?
there's a lot of writing and there's a lot of gameplay you can get out of setting something in Sengoku period.
It's set in the Kamakura period.
Is it? So I'm curious. Is it? Are we talking like? I haven't looked super deeply into it. Are we talking like mythic Japan? Is it just going to be me fighting Oni for the last 20 hours of gameplay?
I think it's all humans. I've not seen any footage of
It looks like
Like
you're mostly fighting
demons
Mongols.
or anything.
Okay. Because that's like, so that was the thing that ultimately turned me off of Neo. Because I really liked Neo in concept, and then it was just me fighting demons forever. And not like interesting sword fights.
It's set during the first Mongol invasion, and that's who you're fighting, it looks like.
All right.
I mean, and this is like apparently an open world game because like they showed footage of like every so often coming across birds that will like lead you to things. So like maybe hidden caches in the woods or
Oh my god, am I a Disney Princess Samurai?
your Disney Princess Samurai.
Yes.
It's got the Ubisoft Assassin's Creed UI.
I would be fascinated to see if Sucker Punch can emulate Ubisoft or what direction they go in with it. Not that they don't have the chops for it, but
It also seems like they're not necessarily going for a Soulsian type game. Like combat is more combat is measured and combat has weight, but it's not roll away until you can strike.
I think that's fine.
I was going to say, did you actually... I don't know if you play many Souls games, but did you play Sekiro at all?
I have not played Sekiro.
Sekiro has some combat that's pretty fast.
Oh yeah. I love Sekiro. It's probably my favorite Souls-alike game, but boy does it have a learning curve on its combat because it's fast.
I mean, my favorite Souls game is Jedi Fallen Order, but my second favorite is probably Bloodborne.
I take it back. Jedi Fallen Order is my favorite Souls game.
But anyway, I was just curious because, like, when I'm watching this, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if Tam will be into the Samurai or the Ghost, but one of these is definitely down his alley.
Probably both.
Anyway, okay. So I was in the process of closing things down, so I'll do that now. Hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we will see you again next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See you.